meeting, first of all, is a meeting of central bank governors of the MEFMI region. And each year when we meet them, we choose a topic which is important or topical. So for this year, we chose the topic of the admission of the Chinese currency Yuan into the IMF basket of currencies. Now, we think that this topic is very important because China is our biggest trading partner. All of us are working with the Chinese in one way or another. Most of us export our commodities to China, and we import a lot of things. A lot of projects now in the infrastructure area in our countries are being done by the Chinese and so forth. And we are borrowing money through China Exim Bank to finance many of these projects. Now, we got to pay back some of this money. Even when we transact, export things, we got to be paid back. Now, obviously, the currency you use matters quite a lot. Now, if you borrowed money from one country and the currency you are supposed to pay back is also the currency you earn from your export business, you avoid the exchange risk that arises when you are using various currencies. So, with the admission of the Chinese yuan into the IMF basket of currencies, to a large extent, is very beneficial to those of us who are exposed to trade or to transactions with China. So, we needed therefore to discuss with the governors, the central banks of the region, how this whole development will affect them, what are the advantages, are there any disadvantages, and so forth, so that we become a little bit wiser rather than just having something before us before we even know what it's going to do to our economies and how we should be able to manage our economies with the new opportunity created by a new currency being used internationally. So that's the reason why we're here. The Governors Forum is one of the executive fora series on MEFMI's annual calendar of events meant to assist in developing and sustaining a crop of more informed policymakers in the region. After a long break, as I've already said, the forum was revived last year, and it was informed by the compelling need to keep central bank governors abreast of emerging challenges and opportunities, and to share experience and views from distinguished experts on how to respond to these emerging challenges. The theme for this year's forum, which is implications of the International Monetary Fund adoption of the Chinese yuan as part of the special drawing rights basket of currencies, is very timely for anyone interested in international trade and global finance, more so for the central banking community as custodians of foreign exchange reserves and the facilitators of international trade settlements. We believe that fora such as this one can be used to raise awareness on some of the current trends and issues in the fight against corruption in the MEFMI region. Ms. Gimbo, we welcome you to this event, and we look forward to your presentation this morning. We are sure that your presentation will also highlight some of the successes achieved in fighting corruption and the challenges that remain for us in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, dear governors, I'm sure that the presentations as well as the panel discussion that will follow later will generate constructive debate for the benefit of our region. As I conclude my remarks, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a quote that dates back to 2 centuries, and that is attributed to Napoleon. And he is reported to have said something about China. He said, "Here lies a sleeping giant. Let him sleep, for when he wakes up, he will shake the world." I'm sure all of us who have followed the developments of China will agree that this was a sleeping giant, but now the giant is up and running, and we must be careful. I think for us, Zambia and Tanzania, we have had a long relationship with the Chinese. Most of you remember when we had sanctions on Zimbabwe. The Chinese came to our help and built the Great Tazara Railway. And we were the first to experience the Chinese. At that time, I'm sure those of you who were following events will testify that everybody used to say Chinese goods are so inferior. And so, but we had to test that because we had to pay for the construction of the railway line. I don't think we can say the same about Chinese goods today. Almost everybody in the world has been touched by the Chinese goods. That's why even their currency now has joined the IMF basket of currencies. Now, without further ado, I'll now hand over to you to the Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Mutimba, who will announce the next speaker. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Distinguished Governors and Deputy Governors, it is a privilege to be here to support MEFMI's 2016 Central Bank Governors Forum. I'm certain it will be a morning of stimulating conversation. We will be delving into the major challenges and opportunities that the countries of Eastern and Southern Africa face as the world becomes more interconnected and multipolar. Our discussion around the inclusion of the renminbi into the SDR is just one example of the greater influence of Asia on the world stage. But the region also needs strong institutions to help its states play their full role in a more globalized world. And today we will also be exploring how we can achieve that aim. Finally, I would like to thank MEFMI for bringing together such an esteemed group of central bank governors and the Bank of Tanzania for hosting us today. This is an enormously important initiative that Investec Asset Management is proud to be associated with. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to call upon Professor Ndulu to address you. Thank you very much.
First, it gives me great pleasure to be here this morning and participate with you in this important MEFMI Region Central Bank Governors Forum. May I take this opportunity on behalf of the Bank of Tanzania and indeed on my own behalf to welcome you all to Tanzania and Dar es Salaam in particular, the heaven of peace. Heaven spelled as H-A-V-E-N. Don't demand the other heaven. We don't have it yet. I would like to extend a special welcome to our colleagues from the region and beyond who have joined us for this event. Distinguished colleagues, I'm very glad that MEFMI chose Dar es Salaam to be the venue for this important event, which is also being held on the eve of the Bank of Tanzania's Golden Jubilee celebrations, scheduled for 22nd of June 2016. This gives additional meaning to our 50th anniversary celebrations, and we are indeed honored to host the forum and to host you. And we thank you so much for joining us in the series of events leading to the anniversary celebrations. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my sincere gratitude to the MEFMI Secretariat for their resolve to reintroduce the Governors Forum in 2015 after a long break. Let me assure the Secretariat that as Central Bank Governors, we greatly appreciate this event as it provides a platform for frank and open exchange of views among governors. The event has become an important platform for raising awareness and coming up with a common understanding on emerging economic issues in this ever-changing global economic environment. One wise man once said, "Forewarned is forearmed, and to be prepared is half the victory." Indeed, being cognizant of emerging opportunities and risks ahead of time allows us to take measures that appropriately respond to them. We have found the fora discussions to be forward-looking and practical in their focus on policies and strategies needed to confront emerging issues head-on. In this regard, we stand ready to recommend that invitations for similar events be extended to other colleagues within the African continent in future to allow for synergy and cross-pollination of ideas. Distinguished colleagues, I'm reliably informed that the context for much of today's deliberations will be based on the decision made by the IMF board on 30th November 2015 to include the Chinese Yuan, renminbi, into the special drawing rights or SDR basket. This theme could not have been more appropriate for our region, let alone the central bankers who will be thinking about how to manage the exchange rates and reallocate their reserves to match more closely the currencies that make up the SDR basket. The decision, ladies and gentlemen, reflects major shifts in the global economy and is a recognition of China's progress over the last few decades in moving towards a more open and market-based economy. The People's Republic of China plays an increasingly prominent role in the world economy, and it would seem entirely logical that its currency should also play a prominent role in the international financial markets. And by the way, it is also true that in PPP terms, the Chinese economy is the largest economy in the world. It's only in nominal currency terms that America remains bigger than China. So taking into account purchasing value of currency, we are talking about the biggest economy in the world. And again, welcome to Tanzania and to Dar es Salaam, and I thank you for your attention.
Right, so this conference we're talking about how we can use the Chinese currency, the yuan, as a reserve currency, as a settlement currency, and maybe as also an investment currency. So I think it was very important to us that with the world's largest trading country being China, and also the second largest economy in the world, it's important for us that the yuan is now part of the IMF special drawing rights, which means that now we're able to diversify our foreign exchange holdings, but also expand our trade. As we trade more in the yuan, as we settle more of our trade in the yuan, I think our trade with China will also increase, which means that as Africa we become more integrated into the global economy.
Yeah, it's a good practice or culture with MEFMI that brings together central bank governors and discuss topical issues that affect or concern our region and concern us in general. And the main topical issue for this particular forum was about the inclusion of the Chinese RMB into the IMF SDR. What does that mean to our economies? How should we be prepared for that? How can we take advantage of that? And I would say we had very good discussions around that.